So what we're going to be doing here in Unit 4, Section 4 is we're going to be multiplying polynomials by monomials. Now what do we mean by that? Well, all we're going to do, if we look at this first example, is I'm going to take this negative 3x squared, and I'm going to take it times every monomial inside the parentheses. So what are you thinking? The distributive property, and that's exactly right. What's negative 3x squared times 4x squared? Well, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. What's x squared times x squared? X to the fourth. Then you're going to take negative 3x squared times positive 6x. Well, what's negative 3 times 6? Negative 18. What's x squared times x? X to the third. Then you're going to be taking negative 3x squared times, that's a negative 8. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24, and you'll have x squared. So your answer is right here, negative 12x to the fourth minus 18x to the third plus 24x squared. In example 2, we'll go ahead and distribute the x throughout the parentheses and then add like terms. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times negative 4 is negative 4x. So you're going to have 3x squared minus 4x plus 5x. The negative 4x plus 5x are like terms. They get combined. You'll end up with 3x squared plus x. And that's all there is to it. That's all we're going to be doing in this particular set of problems. You're going to be taking x times 4x squared and get 4x to the third. We're going to take x times 3x and get plus 3x squared, and then take x times 2 and get plus 2x. Negative 4x times 2x to the third. Negative 4 times 2, negative 8. X times x to the third is x to the fourth. We're going to be taking negative 4x times negative 2x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8, so write plus 8, and then x times x. X squared. Then we're going to be taking negative 4 times 3, negative 12, and you get negative 12x. Always check to see if there are any like terms to combine. In this case, there are not, so that would be your final answer. X times 2x squared. 2, x times x squared is x to the third. X times negative 4x is negative 4x squared. Bring down the minus 6x squared. You have like terms here. This is negative 4 minus 6, negative 10. So 2x to the third minus 10x squared. In number 4, let's take the 6a times the 2a, get 12a squared. Take 6a times minus b. That's a negative 1 there, so 6 times negative 1, negative 6, a times b, alphabetically, ab. Then you're going to be taking 2a times negative 4a, negative 8a squared, 2a times 5b plus 10ab. Combine like terms. 12a squared minus 8a squared, 4a squared. Negative 6ab plus 10ab, positive 4ab. Number 5, 4r times 2r squared. 4 times 2 is 8. R times r squared is r to the third. 4r times negative 3r. 4 times negative 3, negative 12. R times r squared. 4r times 5. 4 times 5 is positive 20r. 6r times 4r squared, positive 24r to the third. 6r times 2r, positive 12r squared. And then 6r times 8, 6 times 8, 48 plus 48r. Go through and combine like terms. 8r to the third plus 24r to the third, 32r to the third. Negative 12r squared plus 12r squared will cancel each other out. So you don't write any r squareds. Don't write an r squared. 20r plus 48r plus 68r, final answer. And lastly, number 6, negative 2 times 4x squared. The last two problems, I should say. Negative 2 times 4x squared, negative 8x squared, negative 2 times 5x, negative 10x. This is a negative 1x times x squared, negative x to the third. Negative 1x times 6x, negative 6x squared. List these in descending powers. Start with the highest exponent. What is it? Well, it's negative x to the third. And the next highest exponent is your x squareds. Do those next. Negative 8 minus 6, negative 14, x squared. And then, of course, you just have negative 10x, and there's your final answer. 2 times 4x squared, 8x squared. 2 times negative 2x, negative 4x. This is a negative 3 times 6x squared, positive 18x squared. And then negative 3 times 4, negative 12. 2x times x, positive 2x squared. And then 2x times negative 1, negative 2x. Combine like terms. 8x squared plus 18x squared is 26x squared. 26 plus 2, 28x squared. Then your negative 4x minus 2x, negative 6x. Then you have your minus 12. And there you have it on how to simplify algebraic expressions where you're taking a monomial times a polynomial. Now, what's different about the next set of problems? The equal sign. That's exactly right. And when you have an equal sign, that means you're solving. What we're going to do in number 1 is we're going to work this equation down to where we get n is equal to some number. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, the first thing to do is to simplify each side. You can't do anything as long as there are parentheses in a problem. Parentheses are stoppers, they're barriers, they're the vampires. We've got to get rid of the vampires. The first level of this kind of game would be to get rid of that set of parentheses by taking 4 times n is 4n. 4 times negative 2, negative 8, plus 5n. 6 times 3, 18. 6 times minus 1n is negative 6n. The 6 is not times the 19. It's only times the parentheses, so bring down the plus 19. At this point, write each side in standard form, meaning get all of your n's together on this side of the equal sign first. 4n plus 5n is 9n. Bring down the 9n minus 8. Bring down your equal sign. You have negative 6n, and then 18 plus 19 is positive 37. Get all of your n's on one side at this point. Add 6n to both sides. New equation. 15n minus 8 is equal to 37. Add 8 to both sides. You'll get 15n is equal to 45. Dividing both sides by 15, n is equal to 3, and there's your answer. Now, number 2, take 6 times x squared, and we get 6x squared. Take 6 times 2x, and you get plus 12x. Equals 2 times 3x squared, 6x squared. 2 times 12, positive 24. Well, this one's different, though, isn't it? This one has those x squareds in there. So let's, starting with the highest exponent first, let's get those together. Oh, and look what happens. When you subtract 6x squared here and here to get those together on the same side of the equal sign, they cancel out. And you're left with 12x is equal to 24. Dividing both sides by 12, get x is equal to 2. In number 3, c times c, c squared. C times 2 plus 2c. This is a negative 1c times c, negative 1c squared. Negative 1c times negative 6 is positive 6c, equals 10c minus 12. Get the c squareds together first. Combine like terms on the left side. Write the left side in what we call descending powers. Get all of your like terms together. Well, c squared minus c squared cancels, and you have 2c plus 6c is 8c is equal to 10c minus 12. Subtract the 10c from both. Don't subtract the 8c. You'll get 0 on that side. We don't want to do that. Subtract the 10, so you get negative 2c is equal to negative 12. Dividing both sides by negative 2, c is equal to 6. In number 4, there's nothing here that's going to change what's inside the parentheses here. So we get 5x squared minus 2x. But here there is a negative sign that changes everything inside the second parentheses. So instead of a positive 5x squared, I have a negative 5x squared. Instead of a plus 10x, I have a minus 10x. Instead of a minus 3, I have a plus 3. Write the left side in descending powers. Start with your highest exponent first. 5x squared minus 5x squared cancels. Negative 2x minus 10x is negative 12x. Bring down the plus 3 is equal to 15. Subtracting 3 from both sides, negative 12x is equal to 12. Dividing both sides by negative 12, you get x is equal to negative 1. In number 7, Tom's fencing his yard. The length of his yard is 7 feet more than 4 times the width. The perimeter is 764 feet. We need to rewrite this. Sorry about that. That is a misprint. Not how much fence does he need is the question would be, and you need to change this on your paper if it's not already. What? Well, let's spell it correctly. What are the dimensions? So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the length and the width. So when you can, draw a picture of whatever it is you are working on. In this case, it's a rectangle. Now we know the perimeter is 764 feet. We're finding the length, the dimensions means find the length and the width, right? Well, if you go back to what I've talked about previously, you want to go back to the story problem and circle those two words, length and width. Now, which one's mentioned second? Well, the width is. The shorter side, let's call it W. Always go with the second one mentioned. Define your variable with that unknown. Then what do we have left? We have the length. Well, what are we going to use for the length? And we can't use L. Well, the length of his yard is what? Well, it's 7 feet more than 4 times the width. How would you write this as an algebraic expression, knowing that W is now, the width is now called W? Well, if the width is W, 4 times the width would be 4W. 7 feet more than that would be plus 7. So 4W plus 7 is the expression we're going to use for the length. And since we are using perimeter, write down the formula. And the formula I want you to use is this, and write this down. 2 times, and use the word length, plus 2 times, use the word width. There's a reason for my madness. You'll understand in about 2 seconds here. Because this thing, the 4W plus 7, is what we're putting in for the length. So this expression right here, 4W plus 7, goes into that parentheses right there. And plus 2, and what are we using for the width? Right, we're using W. And what are we going to use for perimeter? That's right, it's 764. And there's your equation on how to solve this particular problem. Use the distributive property. 2 times 4W is 8W, plus 14 plus 2W is equal to 764. 10W, 8W plus 2W, right? We're going to have plus 14, so wouldn't it be simple just to subtract 14 from both sides and get 750? Can we do that in this step? Sure we can. Dividing both sides by 10, we get W is equal to 75. So that means the width, W, is 75. Well, what's the length? Well, we have to go back to this expression right here. To find the length, we're going to take 4 times 75, 300, add 7, get 307. Does that give us the dimensions of a rectangle? That would give us a perimeter of 704, or 764. And when you do add these two together, you get 382. And when you do that, take that and double it, because that only gets you halfway around. This distance only gets you halfway around the perimeter, so you have to double that, and you get your 764. Same situation on number 2. Susie's bordering her garden. The width of the garden is 11 feet less than the length. The perimeter of the garden is 34 feet. Again, if this isn't changed on your sheet already, please do so now. It's not how much border dash you need, is again, what are the dimensions? And again, we're talking about the perimeter of a rectangle, so draw a rectangle. Since we are looking for the length and width, again, we're going to go back to the story problem and circle those two words. Now, which one is mentioned second? Well, the length is. So on the longer side of your rectangle, label that L for length. Now, what does it say about the width? What does it say about the shorter side? The width of the garden is 11 feet less than the length. So we're going to take this right here, and we're going to write an algebraic expression for the word width. We can't use W. We have to write this in terms of length, in terms of L. How would you write the expression 11 feet less than the length? Well, you can't use, it's not going to be 11 minus L. 11 feet less than the length means you're subtracting the 11, so L minus 11. Again, we go back to using our formula, 2 times the length plus 2 times the width is equal to the perimeter. The length is now L, so I'm going to have 2 times L plus 2 times, what are we using for the width? This one right here, L minus 11 is the width. And all of that is equal to the perimeter, which is 34. 2L plus 2L minus 22 is equal to 34. 4L is equal to, adding the 22 to both sides, you get 56. The length, L, is 14. So if L is equal to 14, I know my length is 14. The width is 11 feet less than that. Right, it's 3. Now, does that give you a perimeter of 34 feet? Well, 14 plus 3 is 17, and we have to double that, and we get our 34. So there you have it in a nutshell. Good luck on your assignment, and we'll talk to you in class.